If you think about your side rear end muscles, basically what do they do? A lot of what it does also is provide stability at the knee and the foot as well. So a lot of knee problems come from a lack of strength in the glute medius and the glute minimus, the side rear end muscles. When our foot is on the ground, they stabilize our pelvis. So our pelvis doesn't slope downward when we're standing on a single leg. And so the glute medius and the glute minimus, or you can think of them as the side rear end muscles or the abductors, the hip abductors, they stabilize the pelvis when we're on a single leg so that we can walk without our pelvis dropping. So they create a torque on the hip that keeps the opposite side lifted up when the foot is on the ground. So this is very, very, very important. What we're also going to cover today is the execution of these exercises, how to do it. And again, the progression of it, keeping it simple and safe. And then that way you can actually execute on it and have a lot of success with it. And we're going to show you how to progress these very basic exercises to give you the most bang for your buck, to be able to progress and become stronger and better balanced, improve posture, and prevent the trajectory of decline as we get older and change that trajectory more upwards. So then we're trajecting more upwards instead of down.
So now we're going to go over the clams to strengthen the side rear end muscles in our hip. So basically lying on our side with our knees forward a little bit, and we want to focus on our side rear end muscles to lift up the leg like this and then lower back down. Now, if we're not able to bring the leg slow and controlled down, we can rest here, lift up, and then back down. If that's where you're at, that's perfectly fine. Build up the strength from there until you get to slow it and lowering down. Don't touch the knees together, and then lifting back up. And some common compensations with this is rotating the hip back to lift up the leg. So we want to keep the hip still and maybe even think about pushing this hip forward a little bit as we lift up the leg so we're not rotating the hip back. Another compensation is to use the muscles in the front of the thigh here to try to lift up the leg instead of using the muscles on our hip, on our side rear end muscles to lift the leg up that way. Okay, so that's the basic clam. Now, if you're not able to do this, that's perfectly fine. So a step down from that, a good starting point is lying on your back and then with the knees bent and feet flat, and simply bring the leg out to the side and then bring it back. Bring the leg out to the side and slow and controlled bring it back. It'll strengthen the side rear end muscles and the inner thigh muscles as well. And then also it'll actually strengthen the hip muscles on the opposite leg as well. So you're actually working both legs at the same time because you're preventing this leg from moving. So bring the leg out to the side, keep this leg still, and then bring it back. So if you're not able to do a basic clam, that's a more simple version of that. If you're able to do a clam really well, you're doing 20, 30 repetitions and it's getting easier. The progression from there is bringing the leg back behind you and then using the side rear end muscle to lift up the leg a little bit and then back down. Making sure we're not using our trunk muscles here. We're not allowing the leg to go forward as we lift it up. We want the leg back behind us and use our hip muscles to lift the leg up and then back down. Once we're able to do that, we can lift up a little bit higher. So first just off the table in general, but then getting it even with the hip and then back down. So slow and controlled, don't rest it, and then go back up. So that progression. And then from there, we lift up the leg higher and higher. Don't let the leg rotate back like that. Keeping the hip forward and bring the leg up and down. And ideally even rotating the toes down like that. That's going to strengthen and activate the side rear end muscle the most, the glute medius and glute minimus right here to lift up the leg.